In this accessory review, we look at a precast concrete bridge segment by Weiss brothers. As stated on the box, the slings shown on the photo are not included, but let's open up and see what's inside. We have a small bag containing 4 lifting bolts and nuts, and nicely packed in the black foam rubber is the precast bridge section. Well, if you're going to ask to see the assembly, the only thing to do is to attach the lifting bolts. And there are 4 of them, and they each drop in easily enough. And they are secured at the bottom by attaching the nuts. The first thing to say is that the part is not made of metal, because otherwise it would be too expensive and too heavy. So instead it's made of resin. The moulding details are good because they include the opposite interlocking patterns on both sides of the segment, and the grey concrete colour looks good enough too. The holes where the stressing strands would go through are formed but not complete, but you can see one hole here that's drilled right through. At the ends there are blocks with replica reinforcement sticking out, but it would have been nice if the bars had been a different colour. But overall the details are good, so let's see how much the segment weighs. And on the Cranes etc. weigh bridge it's about 1.5 pounds or 700 grams. So what can we do with a load like this? And the first thing we can try is to put it on a heavy haulage vehicle. And of course this looks good driving around the Cranes etc. yard, but may be a headroom problem on a road. But here we are on site, and we're going to use a big Manitowoc to lift the segment in the way that the box anticipates. So we've got 4 lifting strops with shackles, and we can attach those to the lifting points on the segment. The lifting eyes on the bolts were a little bit of a tight fit on the review model, but with a little bit of cleaning out the shackles can be fitted easily. Once all the shackles are fitted, we get the all clear to commence the lift. The segment is a large piece, so you need a pretty big crane to lift it off, and in this case we're using a Manitowoc MLC 650. Up she goes with some uncontrolled swinging that knocks the heads of everybody who's standing nearby. But apart from that, the lift is perfect. In real life, slings like this probably wouldn't be used because of the sideways loading on the bolts. So I asked the Cranes etc. engineers if a lifting frame could be made, and they laughed in my face. So I made one myself, and they're not laughing now. With the lifting frame, the load on the bolts is purely vertical. I previously mentioned the holes through the segment. So if you had more than one segment and some threaded rod, you could build yourself a whole viaduct. This is another very nice load from Weiss brothers. The resin casting is very good, and it's nice that if you've got more than one you can interlock the sections. And it's a flexible load because you can either stick it on some transport or hang it from a crane. So overall it's a nice solid piece, which is very good.